What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be doing my official full fight review of Gary Russell Jr. versus Mark Magsayo, and this was a 12-rounder for the WBC Featherweight World Championship, and this fight was Saturday, January 22nd, from the Borgata Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and this fight was broadcasted on Showtime, and in this fight, Gary Russell Jr. lost his title after winning it in 2015 and successfully defending it multiple times. And Mark Magsayo got the majority decision victory. I thought he was the rightful man in winning this fight. From the arena, I actually had it 116 to 112 in favor of Mark Magsayo. And I was at that fight, as mentioned before, and I did post a video of the official decision earlier. And the atmosphere was great. And this was a pretty decent fight to watch. The co-main event, very fun as well. But Mark Magsayo, he looked like the sharper and better fighter throughout the fight. And that's really because, like in the fourth round, it looked like Gary Russell Jr., when Mark Magsayo sort of pushed down and landed a shot on the chin, Russell sort of hurt his shoulder when he was ducking down, it looked like, and he sort of grimaced. At first in the arena, I thought like he hurt his knee because he was like sort of grabbing it. But after further review of it, it looked like his shoulder definitely hurt, and he wasn't really able to throw all those jabs. But still, he wasn't really doing much. At one point, it had like Magsayo winning like every single round. That's how dominant it was in my eyes from the arena, because it looked like Magsayo was landing a lot of counter punches early on to the middle rounds. But then I think that Gary Russell Jr. did come on a bit as the fight went on. Like let's say in round 8, all the way up to like round 11, Gary Russell Jr. started to become more composed and really started to land some nice counter punches and really actually started to box and really just outbox Magsayo and land some nice shots. Because before that, I really thought that Magsayo was just dominating him from what I saw. But maybe that's just a sentiment to like where I was sitting, what my view was, what angles I was seeing. But I'll definitely rewatch this fight on TV to see like if what I was seeing was true, like with Magsayo landing like almost every single one of his counter punches early, which is why I gave him a lot of those rounds and whatnot. But in the end, I still had it 116 to 112 in favor of Mark Magsayo, and the judges did score this bout 114 to 114 a draw, and 115 to 113 twice in favor of Mark Magsayo. So with that being said, what is next for Mark Magsayo? There definitely might be a rematch, considering that Gary Russell Jr. was injured for this fight a bit with that shoulder in the middle rounds. But I would really like to see like an X-ray or some type of medical thing regarding the shoulder, because just to make sure like what the injury officially was, and I hope Gary Russell Jr. can post something like that on his social media just to show the fans what really happened. Because at this point, I'm not really 100% sure, but still, there definitely could be a rematch, considering there was a injury according to Gary Russell Jr., or that we definitely could see Mark Magsayo take on someone highly rated in the WBC, someone like that. But most likely, I think these two will have a rematch. But as for Gary Russell Jr., I think, as I mentioned before, they could have a rematch, or Gary Russell Jr. could take a big short tune-up fight before taking on Magsayo again. But really, I don't see that happening, because Gary Russell Jr. is really just an inactive fighter, doesn't really fight much. He was coming off a 2-year layoff for this fight. So, it seems like he's really just going to be in big fights. Not really any tune-ups or anything. So, Mark Magsayo defeats Gary Russell Jr. by majority decision. And comment down below your thoughts on this fight, who you think won, and if you think Mark Magsayo really deserved this victory. I think he did, but I know there's a lot of people with differing opinions. So overall, Mark Magsayo defeats and dethrones Gary Russell Jr., winning by majority decision to become the new WBC Featherweight World Champion. And that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.